another Wizard Once a YGO video. In this video, I'm going to be showing off my Dragon Link deck profile that I got 5th place at the Fredericton, New Brunswick Remote Dual Regional with yesterday. But before I get into the deck profile, I just want to say thanks to everyone who subscribed so far. Passing 100 subscribers is huge. I didn't even know if I'd make it this far. So if you do like these types of videos, like the deck profiles, the combo videos, the Duel Invoke replays, please hit that subscribe button and let's see how far we can take this channel. So without further ado, I'm going to go into the main deck first. So if you watched a Dragon Link deck profile from me, this is going to seem fairly familiar, but there are some differences in hand traps I'm playing for this deck list. So Rocket Package, 3 Tracer, 2 Synchron, Recharger, 2 Abs. I mean, I've been playing this day one. I'm very much a 3 Tracer kind of guy, so I'm sure you've heard my explanation on that by now. Then turns for other big dragons, you got 2 Noctivision, the Triple Safer, the Black Dragon, White Dragon, and then the Levianeer. So this came in clutch when you activate Chaos Space, you add one of these to hand, and then they drop Lancia, then you go, okay. Still my normal summon, Noctivision, and then you still get to go off into at least Hieratic Seals. So definitely recommend playing these. Reason I play 2 versus 3 is because I don't want to open multiples. So that's it for the dragons of the main deck. So getting into the hand traps, I'm playing 13. So we have 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 3 Bell, 2 Ogre, 2 Veiler. So the reason I'm playing both of these at 2 is with Despia, this isn't nearly as good, but I still really want to see it with anything that's playing the Adventure package, which I guess in turn could be some build to Despia. And then Veiler, I mean, I know Imperm is better this format, but Veiler's still a light hand trap, so that comes into play with the Chaos Ruler Mills. Everything else, like Bell, really good this format. Nibiru, not as great, but it's a light hand trap, and it's a discard for Chaos Space, and it hits a lot of the more rogue decks. And then Ash, you need it, whether it be for the Fusion Destiny hard opened in hand or the Branded Fusion, because one of the only things that's going to work if your opponent has Meltdown or Branded Lost up. So I decided to play the Fusion Destiny package in this deck. In future, I might swap this to playing more hand traps instead of these. And if I were to, that would be 3 Gamma and 1 Driver. Overall, I think DP put in the work this weekend. It did a lot of good things, but then against my matchup I struggled with, which were my only losses for the day against Floowandereeze, it just didn't do enough. Like, opponent always had something like Mega Ryza to put Dasher back to top deck. They banished Celestial Estrie and then returned the DPE back. So, because they opened Dark Ruler. So it's just a lot of, like, if I had hand traps, I could have stopped Mega Ryza, for example, or anything like that. So I think it works for a lot of decks, but not against Floowandereeze, which is what I struggle with this weekend. Moving on to the spells, other than Fusion Destiny, it's just the 2 field spells, triple quick launch, triple chaos space. So, everything you need to play dragons. So that's a main deck, 41 cards. Moving on to the extra deck, it's pretty much the same as the last time I played DPE Dragon Link, like over 2 months ago. The only difference is, we'll get into the only difference. So, your Link 1s, you got Striker and Pisty. Link 2s, you got Seals, Romulus, Quadboral, and then Dark. Dark's the only difference. You have to play Dark now. There's so many good Dark targets, and even in a deck like Branded Tri-Brigade that I played against, they still have either the Tri-Brigade Mercurier or the DD Crow as a target, and then you can use that to climb up to a Link 3. So that's why I'm playing this over something like Kalki Fibrax. I feel like Kalki Fibrax gets a little too situational. And you got to make room for Verte because you're playing DPE, so that's the other reason. And then IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena was pretty good this weekend. especially for going into Appaloosa. My favorite combo with this is you go Verte IP if you already locked to Darks, and then on their main phase you go in these two, and if you were able to like put Chaos Ruler on board or something as well, into 3 mana Appaloosa that can't be destroyed by card effects. And then for Link 3s, just a Unicorn. It's either this or Triple Burst. I like its utility with IP Masquerena, and that's why I'm playing Unicorn over it. But yeah, you have to make room for the Verte and the DPE, so that's why I'm not playing Triple Burst in this deck. And then Link 4s, you have Appaloosa, Access Code. Appaloosa put in the work this weekend. Oh my word. It is such a good card. Like, I would strongly recommend that you play it. Like, I think I got to the point where I was playing against... It was one of the adventure decks, because I played, it was sad. Like, the 40 card variant. And I basically got to the point where I was making Appaloosa 3 mat, and still had, like, White Dragon, Wyver Burster in hand. So, summoning under there, making Pisty under it, and just continuing to go off. But yeah, Appaloosa was nuts. There was a point, even against branded Tri-Brigade, that I could only get 4 monsters on board. So, it didn't make any sense to... Like, I went Unicorn to spin back their Mirror Jade, and then had, like, Levianeer that I resummoned after adding it to hand from Seifert. So, I was able to push for damage, and then go in 2-mat Appaloosa at it. In main phase 2, so just amazing. And then I was able to stop the Brigand Search. I was able to stop like the Karis like summon next turn. So, and then Access Code just closes out games. One of the games they Vertate, so it's 6k life. I had an Access Code made with 2 Link 2s where I used Dark to bring back their Verte, and then Rocket Tracer with Boot Sector Launch. Everyone forgets that Boot Sector Launch gives you an attack boost, and I was able to push for game on that. So, in terms of the Synchros I'm playing, Savage, Chaos Ruler, and Hot Red, very standard at this point. The debate on when to go into Chaos Ruler versus Savage, I think there's one point I had 3 hand traps in hand, and I'm like, I don't need to do Chaos Ruler mills. I can just go into Savage. So, that's sort of where it is. If you don't have enough hand traps, I go into that. If you have a ton, I'd go into Savage. And then, last but not least, talks about DPE, playing 1 DPE. I think it's pretty good, especially when the new Synchros Fusion comes out. Alba Lenitus, I think it's called. That's able to contact fuse your dragons. Like, this deck, if it's still going to be played, is really going to transition to using monsters that aren't dragons as their end board. Probably Seals being the only one. So moving on to the side. I think the side deck was mostly fine here. I'm a little iffy on Droll, but we'll get into that. So, triple Ansia, triple Token Collector. That is huge for the Fluunderies matchup. And then Token Collector for anything playing Adventure Token, especially Adventure Prank Kid. Token Collector, oh my, put in the work, just like Appaloosa did. So, the fact that it can activate from hand or grave is crazy. You mill it off Chaos Ruler, you're good to go. If they send it to grave on their turn, and then next turn try and write of Aramasir, you just bring it back. So, highly recommend Token Collector in this format. Then Double Droll. I didn't really open it, so I can't really say if it worked or not. Like, I don't know if I should play 3 and then 2 Lancia, but it's the ratio I played it at, so it seems fine for now. For Spell Trap Hate, we got triple Twin Twister, and then 1 red Reboot. So Reboot, it's like you're playing. It's a 1 of in 41, so you're not going to see it that often. But when you do against a matchup like Eldritch or even Fluunderies, when they flip Harpy Featherstorm, like you got to win that turn, and it really helps you get there. Twister over Cyclone, just because there's a lot of things you want to hit, especially in Branded. Like you can force out a Branded in red, which can be pretty good. And then last 3, playing 3 anti-spells. The reason I'm playing anti-spell is I thought I need a Floodgate. This is basically you lose game 1, you're going first game 2, or you're going first game 3, and you need that blowout card to say, okay, I'm going to win this matchup. And This against pretty much everything in the meta right now, like between like branded, you flip this in standby phase, you see they can't play Branded Fusion, they can't play when they basically set 5 pass. You use this against Blue Wonderies, really slows them down. I had an interaction where they were kind of in simplified game state, and he tried to play Mystic Mine on me when I had one monster and 0, and I was like, no, I have Anti-Spell. So he had to set it, and then I was able to get DP next turn, pop the Mystic Mine. So definitely a lot of utility. A lot of people forget that it's when you set the spell cards, neither player can activate until their next turn after setting it. So they'll try and like set a Twin Twister, use it on your turn. It's like, no, you can't do that, unfortunately. So overall, I think this is the best Floodgate if you're going to play one to be a bloat card. I mean, it also hits the adventure stuff. I forgot to mention that completely. So really slows down the game state. And unless you open really poorly, you've already used your spells that you want to use. So that's the deck profile. If you did like it, let me know. Comments, likes. I always love to see those. And other than that, yeah, I'll see everyone in the next video.